And now, a word from today's not sponsor.
Are you tired of feeling sad? Are you feeling very, very bad? Are you having trouble sleeping because your bed keeps talking to you? Would you like to? I mean, not to? Come on down to the Habitat. We have everything you could need for your happiness. Quirky, depressed weirdos, staircases with no railings, and an obligatory curfew. Come on down to the Habitat today and smile for me.
We now return to your regularly scheduled podcast.
I'm Honeyshuckleex.
I'm Zachbot Barbecue.
And I'm Giggle Klutz.
Today we're going to be covering Smile for Me. You guys are making faces. Why are you making faces? Those aren't smiles.
Insert the sounds of a smile here.
So Smile for Me is a game that we played on Steam. I didn't check to see if it's on any other platforms. It was developed by Limbo Lane. It's sold for $12.99. It was published by Serenity Forge and Limbo Lane. As far as I could tell, Limbo Lane has not done any other games. And I'm not shocked, because I think I would have heard of them if they had, because this is a very unique product.
Very, very interesting. Basically, the premise of this game is... Well, the part that they pitched to you is that you're mute, you can only, nod and shake your head to reply to people by, literally moving your camera like you would do.
That doesn't work in an audio format. She nodded and then shook her head. And it's we can see you.
Insert the sounds of moving your head around here.
Tumbling rocks.
We're machinery because I am animatronic.
Oh, goodness. All right.
So that's one of the premises of this, and then you go around and you talk to people and solve puzzles.
But people talk to you. You initiate conversation and you just listen because your character is mute. Now, we'll get into mechanics a little later, honestly, but that they never really utilize that mechanic at all, that you don't talk. I actually purchased the game thinking that it would be an interesting thing to have a game from the perspective of a mute protagonist, and it turns out it never really comes up much.
Yeah, it doesn't differ too much from the silent protagonist trope in general.
Yeah.
It's not really much of an extension of that.
It largely just ends up being the silent part is technically just canon, without having too much commentary or story emphasis.
Yeah, it doesn't build when it doesn't impact the story in any way. The weirdness, is it a story? It is a story. This game is weird. This game is super weird. In fact, when I saw some video about indie games that you should try, and this one was in it, I wish I could remember which one it was so we could link it, but I don't. But anyway, I thought that, hey, the silent protagonist thing, I have got at least one other game with a silent protagonist in it that I'm wanted to discuss. I was hoping this would be a good counterpoint. It is not. It is not at all. We're still going to talk about it at some point, so I'm not going to mention it here right now. Because, one, I don't want to be held to it in case I don't. And, two, there are reasons why I might not want to. Anyway, there, enough vague casting.
Vague casting.
For you right now. Anyway, while Smile for Me was not what I expected, and it wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before, even when we first started playing it, I wasn't sure how much I liked it, but by the end, I'm like, oh my gosh, this was fun. This is a really fun ride. So if you ever plan on playing, it's not that expensive, and it goes on sale from time to time. So yeah, I don't think even our talking about it will spoil your experience of it. it's not banking on the shock value, really. I mean, the things that are shocking about it will be just as weird to experience firsthand, even if you know they're coming. I mean, really, honestly, I think so.
I mean, there's gonna be us describing the stuff, and then there's actually having a chance to be, more directly immersed in it, and that's gonna be something in and of itself.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm not even gonna say the episode can wait. I'm like, listen to the episode. If you still want to play this game after the episode, I think you're really gonna enjoy it. Please do indulge. Meanwhile, if you could tell from the way we talk about it, it's not your cup of tea, go ahead and give it a pass, because it's a weird little thing, and it's unlike anything else I have ever experienced.
Like, okay, one of the things to me that it feels extra weird about this game is that normally when you play a game, you can at least kind of tell who it's for. This game, I cannot tell. Is this for, like, drunk 20-year-olds? Is this for somewhat mature children? Who's the audience of this game?
And I don't mind. There are some games where I really do mind, and with this one, I'm not sure. Meanwhile, I don't think it's for little kids, okay? Little kids should be supervised playing this game. We'll get into that in the WTF section of
this. Well, because we want to structure this in a sort of like the good, the bad, the really weird... Because there's a lot of all of those.
Yeah. But the good, the puzzles are good.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game.
It is a puzzle game. Gee, we're playing it. It's probably a puzzle game.
It's either a puzzle game or a narrative game or just happens to be really good and... True.
We do lean into puzzle or narrative, though.
We do.
Well, it's because they're more fun to play together.
We play games that are, generally more suited to, I don't know, bringing your friends along.
Right. And, we friends. We family, but we friends.
Wow.
I know. Some people...
I can't believe it took me 1.5 years to learn this.
You didn't just learn it.
If it took 1.5 years, that 1.5 years was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably your first 1.5 years. And you did it before you had a sibling.
Wow.
Alright, let's circle back to Smile for Me. Cheese! Audience, and they never say cheese, and there's no cheese in it, as far as I can recall.
There's cheese quotation marks.
Some of the jokes are cheesy, yes.
There is the substitution of cheese, but no actual cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, that's leaning into one of the puzzles. There's quite a few puzzles, because there's like a lot of characters around the map who you interact with, and basically the goal is to make them happy.
The whole point of game is that you're at a place where sad people go to be happy.
Yeah, the Habitat.
Created by Dr. Habit.
Yes, Dr. Habit. In our playthroughs, like, we do, like, voice acting together, and I had only, like, a little bit to go off of for what to determine for Dr. Habit's voice. And it was a kind of puppet-like... Like, there was an actual puppet, there was a puppet-like graphic, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna corrupt Kermit the Frog.
Is that what that is? It's definitely a Muppet-type voice, yeah.
Yeah, like, I just...
Yeah, it was a kind of a Muppet-type puppet, really.
Yeah, so, yes, this game is so weird. It involves this weird, flat, always-facing-you characters and kind of live-action puppet on a screen, who's supposed to represent actually another character who, if you find them, probably would be flat presented too. I don't remember in the finale whether or not they are.
Yeah. Like, Habit is just as flat as everybody else, except on camera.
I'm pretty sure that puppet, the fact that it is a puppet, is canon. Pretty sure it is specifically stated that Dr. Habit has a puppet.
Well, hold on, then how does a flat person use a three-dimensional puppet like that?
Are you only flat in the habitat? I mean, it's weird, guys. It's a weird game. And it doesn't matter when you're in it, any of this stuff. It's like, you just go with it. I'm like, yeah, sure, in this little shoebox of reality, fine. I'm not gonna question too hard. Yeah, those paper people are really freaking weird. But anyway, we'll get to that in the weird.
Oh, God. Okay.
So good. The puzzles were good. The characters are varied and very silly. Most of them are pretty darn silly.
Yeah, it is able to set its mood quite nicely of being just this fascinating, goofy setting with a bunch of oddball characters.
A hint of creepy, a little bit of ominous vibe. You're not sure what's happening, and it does feel like something bad might happen at any moment, but you're not sure where it would come from or why.
Yeah, especially because there's like a curfew.
Yeah,
A
it's a curfew.
really creepy curfew.
There is a really creepy curfew. And I don't know, do we talk about our favorite thing about the game, or do we save it for the end?
We could put that in the weird.
Okay, let's put it this way. We almost missed our favorite part of the game, and you'll almost miss our favorite part of the game unless you skip to the end of the episode, because we're going to put it at the end.
So, yeah, just that does, like, open another thing that's really good in that. Like, there's so much, like, hidden stuff in this game. Because, like, there's a megaphone item, and I'm pretty sure everybody has unique dialogue if you start projecting their voice across the entire habitat. Everybody has, like, dialogue if you show them pictures of each other, so you can learn their thoughts on other characters and get hints to their puzzles.
And while most of it's not necessary at all, they did put it all in there.
Yeah. Some of these mechanics are necessary for puzzles, but just, like, if you go and try it, you will get dialogue.
Which is really cool.
It's a lot of detail and love put into it.
Absolutely. Alright, so is that the good for now?
Yeah, I think that's the good for now.
Alright. So then, the bad.
Yeah. So, like...
And to be frank, none of it was bad enough to be immersion breaking. None of it was bad enough to not want to stop playing the game. Nowhere in there did we want to stop playing.
Yeah, but the inventory system is atrocious. It starts off pretty simple where you have, like, items that are bound to, like, your scroll wheel, so you switch between items and select them and then you can use them, right? That's not too bad. There's plenty of games that do this well. But then this is where your lore goes. So you can pick up, like, 6 pages of lore, and then, like, some items don't go away when you finish puzzles because they have extra interactivity, like the megaphone. And so your inventory just gradually gets more and more cluttered. And the only way for you to interact with the world, like, your hand is also in your inventory.
Which is a detail that's going in the next category.
But it's not like you can show the lore to anybody, because it just, like, instead of interacting with people, it zooms in on it, so that way you can actually read it. This could have gone in a menu. This could have been, like, a book item full of the lore, and then you'd, like, open it and turn the pages. It didn't need to clog up your inventory to this extent. I was the one who was driving for this, so I have the most frustrations with the inventory.
So yeah, to all you aspiring game developers who may be listening to this at some point in the future, if you have an important item like your hand you use as a basic interact function, feel free to bind that to a hotkey so you can fish it out of your inventory quickly.
That would have been so nice.
Yes, or give it its own thing rather than have it in the inventory. Would have been nice also.
Inventory management should never be an afterthought.
Aside from movement, it's the primary mechanic in this game.
Yeah, so it's kind of a shame that it's this unwieldy.
So, I don't think there was much else we would put in... Well, okay. The next category is... What a fook! It's like, what on earth is this? The weird... The what the fuck... We'll use the weirdest, hardest part to swallow the whole game for me.
Like, we'll couple that with the bad part here. Because,
exactly,
like,
we're bridging into the bad, into the weird with, okay, so you have a curfew, and you're timed in this, and they don't really explain what's going to happen to you, or, you know, what happens at the end of the day. But anyway, you're told you need to get back to bed before dark. And then you go to your room, and there's not even a cot, it's just a mattress on the floor, and an empty room with a TV in it. Not at all spooky or ominous at all.
Compared to the next part here, no, it's not creepy. Because you know what is creepy? That your bed talks to you. And as you progress through the game, its dialogue gets more and more suggestive.
Yes, your bed's gonna come on to you. And since you're canonly a child... They regularly talk about you being a child. That's creepy. It's weird. It's kind of bad. I don't know what they were trying, if it was just for lols or why they did that. But, it's just like, I can't wait to embrace you. Come into me. Is the kind of things that she says.
Like, oh, caress me.
Yeah, just...
You wanna undo my covers?
That's the common one right there.
Yeah, it's like, oh great, what happens to me if I stay out in the dark? And that might have been the point, I'm not sure, but luckily, as soon as you go agree to submit yourself to the bed, it goes dark immediately, and it moves to the next day, and you are greeted each new day with a message on the TV, presumably from Dr. Habit, but they don't always show up in the message.
Yeah, like, these little PSAs, like, update with your progress through the game, and they're vaguely sinister.
So yeah, your goal in this game is to try to make all the folks in the habitat happy. Meanwhile, the guy, Dr. Habit, whose job this is supposed to be, tells you should stop doing that.
And actively discourages you from making people happy.
Yeah, like, it's a little unclear as to why he's doing that. Maybe he wants to take all the credit. Who knows?
Credit. Yeah, that's exactly... That's it. Foreshadowing. But anyway...
Yeah, it's just... Something about this doesn't add up.
I think it's everything. I think, like, the more you look at this game, the less things add up.
Yeah.
What is this big event, and why am I scared of it?
Why is there this guy standing in the stairwell who wants to be doused in pickle juice?
Don't ask that question. That's like, people are allowed to have their things. Yeah. Let's just let people be, and people be weird in this game. People be very weird. And so, yeah, you never know what you're gonna need to help people with or whatever. And most of it's harmless and silly, but it culminates in things like, where do you find the toothbrush? I mean...
You find the toothbrush in the hole in the wall, and then you use the toothbrush in the sink that's filled with toothpaste in the drain.
It's gross.
Gross.
There's a gross factor to this.
And then you brush somebody's teeth with it. Like, they don't brush their teeth with it. You brush his teeth.
Which upset Shuckle a lot. Shuckle is still traumatized and wincing, and this was weeks ago.
Like, when we said that we wanted more from, like, this mechanic of, like, moving your camera around to do things, this isn't what I meant!
Right. Okay, so at this point we're going to spoil the end. If you really think that would ruin your experience of the weirdness that is this game.
You're wrong, but go on.
So it culminates in the idea that Dr. Habit has you all there to collect your teeth.
Yeah, because Dr. Habit is Dr. Habit because he's a dentist.
Sure.
Surprise!
As you read Dr. Habit's diary and the various pages you find, you talk about...
That clog up your inventory so I can't find where my hand is so I can interact with things.
Have you ever had one of those days where you're just so loaded down with stuff that you can't even find your hands anymore?
This game can relate to you.
So anyway, it's like, yeah, you hear, Dr. Habit being, upset about the fact that, a bunch of sad people have these nice teeth because they never use them to smile.
Side note, who actually open mouth smiles when they're not talking?
I don't know.
Well, I think I know a guy, but I wish I didn't.
Do you all have that guy? That one guy? Okay, right. So, he wants to take sad people's teeth, right? Is that what we're getting at here?
Yeah. It's like he's upset that sad people have those nice teeth because they don't smile with them. And, it's kind of like, maybe a bigger smile equals, the more happiness it projects.
Yeah, because, like, here I was thinking when we're playing this game, like, after reading all these things, it's like, okay, he's gonna take the good teeth from the sad people and give them to the happy people with bad teeth. No, he just gives himself an extra row of teeth between his other teeth.
Just one, though.
Yeah, it's not like he has, like, 2 full rows of teeth. He has 1.5 rows of teeth.
No, he has 3 rows of teeth.
Three rows, well...
Each one's a row. We have 2 rows of teeth, the top and the bottom. Somehow, Dr. Habit gave himself a middle row of teeth, and we don't want to even think about how this happened.
Yeah, please don't explain...
creepy as hell.
Wow, please don't explain to me how this works.
Exactly.
And, you get to see this for the first time as he's actively removing your teeth.
So yeah, trigger warning for body horror in the end of this game. Oh my gosh.
It's a bit late for that, but
It's a bit late for that!
So yeah, it's like the whole big event is gassing everybody and then taking them into the dentist office and plucking all their teeth out.
Yeah, which mutates their head into weird objects, so more body horror.
Yay!
We didn't actually get to see that because we made everybody happy before we got here.
So they all left. Good for them.
Yeah, they all left. They didn't have to witness this.
God.
So...
And then to escape his evil clutches, you have to use your own teeth as projectiles. It's... And then afterwards he asked if we can be friends.
Only if you give him a tooth flower first. Like, your options are either murder or botany.
It's like, after you escape the dentist's office, it's like you gain the ability to punch from some of the prior puzzles. You can punch Habit out a window.
Defenestration! Which we don't know what it looks like when you do that, because we did not.
Well, no, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely murdered him.
Okay.
And
I forgot the murder.
Kamal was very, very sad. It's like, oh, I wish it didn't have to end like this.
Yeah, Kamal being the, an ex-employee of Dr. Habit whose teeth we brushed.
Ex-employee and or lover? It's unclear.
As these things should be.
Yeah.
They ain't none of my business.
Yeah,
In fact, it's like, maybe keep that to yourself. I don't need to be in the middle of your business.
It's like, there's enough drama going on here already. It's like, I'm not getting my freaking teeth back.
No! You're like, what, 10 years old and already you need dentures?
Yay!
But, yeah, anyway,
One of the things we do like about this sequence when you actually do give Habit the flower is he asks you if you want to be friends, and many games, in order to get like a true good ending from this, you would have to say yes, right? Or it would railroad you into saying yes. This one, it's perfectly fine and acceptable for you to say no. Habit is still happy. You were still his wake-up call to stop doing this creepy garbage.
Fair enough.
you know what? You were the one making everybody happy. This big honking smile idea it just wasn't gonna work. Trying to make everybody all happy all at once. That's just not how these things go.
No, people need individual attention. The big gestures aren't what really work. And maybe we found our theme. Da da da!
That's the theme?
Yes.
To paraphrase, it's like, men get sad in congregations, but they all get happy one by one.
Now you got that song in my head. Anyway.
Well, I don't know, how this game makes me feel. There's a lot of stuff I like about it, and then there's also stuff that just leaves me reeling in ways I can't comprehend.
Yeah, but at the same time, sitting with incomprehension isn't a bad practice.
Yeah, I would absolutely not label this as the most unapologetically weird game I've ever played, but it's weird in its own regard.
It didn't sacrifice fun for the weirdness, though, which is high kudos and praise, in my opinion. It's
absolutely.
Well, we're only scratching the surface of the weird, because there's a lot of puzzles in this game.
And all the puzzles are a little weird for the most part. Maybe a couple are straightforward, but the rest are pretty weird. Expect a, Nickelodeon level kind of gross available, and kind of a childishness to the whole thing, which is why the seductive bed was a little out of pocket, or a lot out of pocket. And
even there's this character who, once you make her happy, she can give you a kiss as an item that you can then give to other people. But you know what? She asks. She asks if she can give you a kiss, and accepts when you say no.
Which is, always good in our book.
Yeah. that is wonderful.
Alright, so are we ready to go to our favorite bit?
I think so.
Okay, so our favorite bit, we almost missed, because it seemed too terrifying to defy curfew. The bed seemed like a good alternative to whatever lurked in the darkness.
And I was like, on the off chance that this resets my progress, I don't want to have to do today again.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, so we did it. We stayed up until something happened.
And what
everything
happens?
went dark, and then...
Yeah, your overnight PSA changes to Dr. Habit's bedtime stories for insomniacs and bad children.
What? And we're like, okay, now what?
So yeah, it presents, goes to this video that instead of, we'll usually have in, images of, happy stuff, this one goes in a more analog horror direct.
Yeah, it's not, going all the way into distorted, creepy people or anything, but it is, a grainy VHS tape of a dark corridor, and with words that pop up on screen just going, can you hear it? And stuff like that.
Right. And then... Did we count how many nights?
I think it was 10.
Yeah, it's 10 different little videos that happen in Dr. Habitat's bedtime stories.
For insomniacs and bad children.
Shuckle needs to finish it out. Anyway, so it's we're how many of these are there? And we had so much fun playing them. It's and getting less and less scared as nothing happened. It's just, you wake up in the morning and you have a little less time in your day than you did before. Oh no!
It's funny that, Dr. Habit alludes to there being, some kind of monster or something out there, but eventually that narrative gets completely dropped and just, starts to be, hey, somebody has to put you to bed when you pass out outside your room.
Did you know that? Did you know that someone has to put you in bed? Do you care about the effort that someone theoretically has to go to?
Yeah. So anyway, it ended up being our favorite part of the whole thing. And so, yeah, it went from, okay, this was fun, to, okay, I could recommend this to other people because I might want to play this again someday. If nothing, just for the bedtime stories. And we almost missed it because it is optional. You don't have to do that to complete the game. It's just extra. They threw that in there. So it's weird, creepy, live-action puppet, which is just hilarious anyway. Little bit gross, funny, very silly, little ominous and creepy, maybe a tiny bit scary, little bit of body horror, and that's Smile for me.
Does that sound like we put stuff in a blender? No, that's Splatoon. Go. This is something else entirely.
This is definitely not Splatoon.
I mean, it's there's an artist palette with colors on it that you get as an item at one point. That's the closest connection I can find to Splatoon.
I will always find a connection.
Anyway,
let's wrap this up for now. But stay tuned for a special message. This has been Smile for Me.
This has been
Collab Not Multiplayer talking about Smile for Me. I am Giggleklutz.
I'm Honeyshuckleex.
and I'm Sackpot Barbecue.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
And now we welcome you to Dr. Habit's bedtime stories for insomniacs and bad children. You're up past curfew, aren't you, little habitiation? Maybe you need a little bedtime story. Look down there. Can you see that? Do you know what that is? I know what that is. Keep looking and you'll see it. I'm in control here. Don't forget it. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Now back to our daily PSA.